Pope Francis arrived in Korea this morning for a 5-day visit, the first in 25 years and only the third papal visit in Korean history. The military is disgraced with a female officer's suicide after she'd been sexually harassed by a superior. It's not the first time that this has happened. And a retrospective of the controversial Korean filmmaker Kim Ki-duk will be held in Seoul. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Thursday, August 14th. I'm Luke Clary. Pope Francis arrived in Korea this morning for a 5-day visit. It's only the third time a pope has visited Korea and the first papal visit in 25 years since Pope John Paul II came to Korea in 1989.
Pope Francis, often called a friend of the poor, arrived at Seoul Airport at 10:30 this morning to begin his historic visit to Korea. This is the first pontifical visit in 25 years, since 1989 when Pope John Paul II came to Korea. Given the Pope's status as a religious world leader, President Park Geun-hye greeted the Pope at the airport. Roughly 30 representatives of the laity, including 4 family members of the ferry tragedy victims, were also there to meet the Pope. After his arrival, Pope Francis went to the Vatican Embassy in Korea where he will be staying during the visit. He then attended a formal welcoming event at Cheong WaDae this afternoon and met with President Park again. His first day in Korea concluded with a meeting with Korean bishops and employees at headquarters of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Korea.
Pope Francis is known for his down-to-earth personality and concern for the underprivileged. He's refused to ride a bulletproof vehicle during his visit to Korea, putting Korean police on high alert.
Back in June, Pope Francis visited Calabria, known as an Italian mafia stronghold. Despite numerous security concerns, he traveled in a roofless car and mingled with the public.
한국에 오셔서도 평소처럼 많은 사람들과 소통하고 또 가까이 눈을 맞춰서 만나기를 바라시거든요.
The Pope has announced his intention to ride a small Korean-made car instead of a bulletproof vehicle during his stay in Korea. Police are now on high alert because security is their responsibility. Their top concern is the beatification ceremony in Gwanghwamun Square, which is expected to draw hundreds of thousands of people, including 170,000 Catholics. Security measures drawn up by the police include a security wall spanning over 1 kilometer between Gwanghwamun and Seoul City Hall to prepare for any emergencies. The wall measures only 90 centimeters tall so that the public can see the Pope. More than 300 metal detectors will be installed in the area to block people with weapons from entering. Authorities are also preparing for possible terrorist or shooting attacks, as the Gwanghwamun area contains many high-rises. Access to major buildings in the area will be restricted. Police officers and snipers will be stationed on the rooftops and on each floor. On the day of the ceremony, police will raise the emergency alert to the highest level and will dispatch over 10,000 officers to the area.
Last year, a female Army officer known only as Captain O committed suicide after being harassed with sexual demands from her supervising officer. This tragic outcome could have been prevented. The military had punished Captain O's superior officer for another sexual harassment case in 2010, in which another female officer took her own life.
Female First Lieutenant Shim committed suicide in 2010 while serving in an army division in Gangwon Province. The Ministry of National Defense was informed that First Lieutenant Shim's superior officer, Major E, had been sexually harassing her. However, it concluded that the female officer had killed herself for personal reasons. But First Lieutenant Shim's memos and journal tell how she was tormented by her superior's sexual advances over a period of 8 months. She was summoned to his private office outside of working hours, forced to attend drinking parties all night long, and even threatened with demotion if she refused his demands.
우리 상사가 지한테 뭐를 요구했겠죠. 들어가면서 마지막 했는 얘기가 그 대대장 내가 정말 죽이고 싶다.
Instead of being punished, Major E was considered for promotion, but his sexual badgering was put to an end this April. He was suspected for 3 months after a female officer in an Incheon unit reported him for sexually harassing her. Mother of the dead First Lieutenant appealed to the Anti-Corruption and Civil Rights Commission to reopen her daughter's case, claiming that her daughter had taken her own life because of Major E's sexual advances.
재수사를 통해서 심중이가 어떤 고통을 받았는지 이 부분은 군에서 입증해 줘야 되는 사안들입니다.
If the Ministry of National Defense had dealt properly with First Lieutenant Shim's case 4 years ago, another wrongful death could have been prevented.
A high-ranking military prosecutor posted a controversial message about the investigation into Private Yoon's death. It's part of a trend where military officials continue to make reckless statements, further undermining the public's trust in the Army.
Military official Kim Hung-seok, who is in charge of the Army's judicial affairs, recently posted this message on an Army message board. It reads, "The investigation into Private Yoon's death by military prosecutors is being distorted by unilateral assertions." It goes on to say that the military has failed to protect its legal judgment based on the prosecution's legal conscience because of public opinion. Kim added that the prosecutors investigating the case fully uncovered what happened to Private Yoon during the month of torture that he experienced in his division and proposed an indictment. Kim's message completely runs counter to public sentiment and the Defense Ministry's plan to press murder charges. Kim passed the blame for the incident to people outside of the military, saying that he would hold responsible those who illegally leaked investigation records and defamed the prosecutors. He also accused politicians, the media, and civic groups for fanning the flames. The Army responded by saying that Kim's message was solely intended to help the Army regain the public's trust and that it doesn't deny flaws in the investigation. Earlier, the director of the Armed Forces Yangju Hospital, where Private Yoon received his second emergency treatment, was dismissed from his post for saying that the way society reacted to Private Yoon's death and the media coverage of the incident were little more than a witch hunt.
The possible presence of air pockets had offered a glimmer of hope during the Seoul ferry disaster. And although that hope vanished as the ferry sank to the bottom of the sea, it was an air pocket that saved 3 sailors in a vessel that capsized in waters off Goje last Tuesday.
This 59-ton fishing boat capsized after hitting a steel rope that ran between a tugboat and a barge. 8 out of 11 crew members were not able to escape and got trapped inside 2 cabins in the vessel's stern. Water rushed into the boat, filling up the cabins in the second deck and quickly flooding the first deck. 3 sailors were trapped inside a cabin on the first deck, but the water stopped coming in when it reached the neck level. Luckily for them, an air pocket was present.
삐죽고 나가려니까 물은 밑에서 올라오죠. 수압은 세지. 침실 내려가려면 발판이 있잖아요. 거기 밟고 있었고 제가.
There were 5 more sailors in another submerged cabin, but they were all found dead. This accident proved that people can survive in an air pocket, and rescuing within the golden hour is crucial to finding survivors.
Critics say descendants of Korean independence fighters don't receive due support from the government despite their ancestors' sacrifice for the nation during Japan's colonial rule. Here are some examples of the harsh reality and financial hardship facing the patriots' descendants.
76-year-old Oh Kwang-soo lives in a converted warehouse on the second floor of a residential building. He is a grandson of independence activist Oh Byung-oh, a leader of the March 1st independence movement in 1919. Oh's family underwent extreme hardship when his grandfather joined the independence movement. However, they have never received compensation from the government. This is because of a law stipulating that if independence activists died after the nation's liberation from Japan, only their children could receive government compensation.
할 말이 없잖아요. 법이 그렇다는데 뭐라 그래요?
Park Jung-sun is a grandson of independence fighter Park Byung-ho, who died while leading the March 1st independence movement. Park Jung-sun receives government compensation because his grandfather died before Korea achieved independence. However, the government subsidy is only about $1,000 a month, hardly enough to cover even the couple's medical costs. Independence fighters spent their wealth for the nation's freedom and were consequently unable to take care of their families. As a result, their descendants have become economically vulnerable and financially insecure.
여러 사람 애들 도움 받아가며 그래서 살았지.
Approximately 40% of independence fighters' descendants live without financial support from the government. Even for those who do receive government subsidies, the amount is only about $970 on average.
치료를 마음 놓고 좀 받을 수 있도록 이런 좀 제도가 좀 보완이 돼야 되겠다.
This year marks the 69th anniversary of the nation's liberation from Japanese colonial rule, but the sacrifice of independence activists has not been recognized properly as their descendants continue to live in poverty.
The U.S. government appears to be searching for a breakthrough in stalled relations with North Korea. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is scheduled to deliver a speech stressing the importance of resolving the North Korea nuclear crisis.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry recently stressed that Washington is ready to mend its ties with Pyongyang. But he added that North Korea must respect its obligations as a member of the international community.
Is absolutely prepared to improve relations with North Korea if North Korea will honor its international obligations.
Kerry said that if the North chooses confrontation, it'll face even stronger sanctions and more isolation. Former chairman of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Unification Committee Park Geun-hye recently contacted key South Korean and U.S. officials in charge of foreign policy and said that it's about time to find out Pyongyang's true intentions.
We shouldn't recoil from the idea of talks with the North, because we want to find out exactly what they think about the current situation.
This means that both Seoul and Washington must find a new alternative, either through dialogue or stronger sanctions, before North Korea beefs up its nuclear program. To bolster international cooperation with regard to North Korea, Park proposed summit meetings among South Korea, the U.S., and Japan, as well as between South Korea and Japan at the UN Climate Summit slated for next month.
In today's entertainment news, a retrospective of the controversial Korean filmmaker Kim Ki-duk will be held in Seoul, while a movie production on the Dokdo Islets will begin late this month.
A retrospective of films directed by Kim Ki-duk will be held in Sangam-dong, Mapogu, Seoul from Friday to August 31st. The event will present psychoanalytical interpretations of Kim's movies. The exhibition will feature 12 of Kim's major films such as Birdcage Inn, Pieta, and Mobius. It will also screen 7 foreign movies, including the controversial Nymphomaniac by Danish director Lars von Trier. Shooting for the film Dokdo 512 will begin late this month. The movie is about Korea's efforts to recover the Dokdo Islets from occupation by a Japanese ultra-right organization. The movie will be co-directed by Shin Seung-ho and Kim Da-nu, with a budget of slightly over $3.4 million raised through donations from corporations and individuals. Scheduled for release in the first half of next year, Dokdo 512 will star actors Cha In-kyo, Cho Jae-hyun, and Kim Bo-sung. Other actors will be chosen through an open audition. Often called the godfather of CM music, singer Kim Do-hyang has released My Life, his first new song in 9 years. With Kim's powerful voice and lyrics about a joyful life, My Life also features the group Ooh La La Session, adding spectacle to the music.
Cellulite is a serious problem for many, especially in summer when people wear more revealing clothes. Here's how to identify cellulite and take proper care of it. Summer is the season when women want to wear bolder and more revealing clothes to show off their beautiful figures. We met with married women who work out hard to make their bodies firmer and healthier. But despite their efforts, there's still one problem that's hard to solve.
열심히 해보려고 하는데 살이 빼도 그거는 안 없어지는 것 같은데요.
It's none other than cellulite, which mostly occurs after gaining weight. You can see cellulite clearly by wringing the skin. Cellulite usually occurs on the hips, the back of the knees, the buttocks, and the pelvis. Many people think that cellulite only affects overweight people, but in fact, it can be found in slim people as well. Skinny people usually get cellulite because of the clothes they wear. We checked how the body temperature changes when a person wears tight jeans versus comfortable shorts. The test showed that the temperature is higher when skinny jeans are worn.
몸에 꽉 끼는 옷을 입게 되면 1차적으로 혈액순환이 잘 안 되게 되겠는데요. 특히 신장에서 먼 다리 쪽으로 내려갈수록 정맥순환이 되지 않으면서 우열 현상이 계속될 수가 있습니다. 이것이 오래 지속될 경우에는 림파절과의 결합으로 인해서 셀룰라이트라고 하는 악성 지방절을 만들 수가 있겠고요. 지속될 경우에는 혈액순환 장애와 악성 비만의 큰 원인이 된다고 하겠습니다.
So-called shape-up underwear, which women wear to conceal their unsightly body parts, also aggravate cellulite, so it's better to avoid it. This woman decided to undergo surgery to get rid of her cellulite.
여름인데 바지도 짧아지고 하는데 다리 쪽에 좀 울퉁불퉁하고 튀어나와 있는 부분이 셀룰라이트라고 하는데 좀 시술 좀 받아보면 어떨까 해서 좀 와봤거든요.
But even surgery can't eliminate cellulite completely.
셀룰라이트는 운동이나 식이요법, 체중 감량으로 어느 정도 호전을 보이는 경우도 있지만 큰 호전을 보이지 않는 경우도 있습니다. 셀룰라이트의 치료 방법으로는 초음파를 인체에 투하시켜 기포를 발생해서 지방세포를 파괴하는 방식인 초음파 지방 파괴술, 필요한 부분의 지방을 냉동시켜 지방 파괴를 유도하는 냉동 지방 분해술이 도움이 됩니다. 하지만 한번 셀룰라이트가 생기면 장기적인 치료를 필요로 하므로 평소에 예방하는 것이 중요합니다.
Here's how to get rid of cellulite with the help of a massage that can be done at home. Stretch the arms and massage them in an inward direction. Use both of your hands to apply acupressure to your hips, where cellulite is usually the most severe. This helps the body to discharge tissue liquids which cause edema and waste matters. Massage your legs upward to improve circulation and prevent your skin from drooping. The best way to keep cellulite at bay is a healthy lifestyle. Now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. Tomorrow is August 15th, Liberation Day in Korea. So we'll see you again right back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.